give an enormous London Leicester Square welcome to Keegal Michael Key! Is the African music consultant on the film, as well as singing some of the most iconic Lion King songs. Would you please welcome, all the way from South Africa, please welcome to Leicester. And as you hear the ovation, we also welcome the arrival . Welcome them as well, as it is their Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Of course you haven't seen it at all. This will be the very first time you get to see it, but how excited are you for everyone here to get to see it?
It's not the first time. I was already able to see it on Tuesday at the American premiere. Again, it's such a beautiful movie that I think I'm going to see it also a couple of times more after this event.
You can't see The Lion King.
It's all the way to your right. Just getting in. To your right. Good morning. Yeah, good for 400 pounds to the start. Well, I look exactly the same. Problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata. One more time. Oh, no. It's all the way to your right.
Through the sapphire sky, keep squared and small. The seven of life.
This project.
What I've been asking everyone is how excited are they to see the fans see it for the first time?
That's what makes it so special. You know, you work on it for 3 years and you really hope people like it. So if hopefully they respond well. If hopefully they respond well, you know, it's a thrill.
Well, I have to say, I watched it and I absolutely loved it. So thank you very much. Have a fantastic premiere.
Thank you. So nice to meet you.
He took on the role of one.
A screening.
Oh, of course I cried.
A
lot of people cried.
But luckily, no tears on this gorgeous outfit, by the way. You look
Thank
incredible. Now, you are part of a unique set of the actors where you actually were in The Lion King in your native Germany, right?
Yes, I did the musical The Lion King in Germany, in Hamburg, in German.
Which is amazing. So what skills were you able to kind of bring from that?
This child is getting wildly out of wing. Simba,
Oh, I just can't wait to be king.
This gorgeous outfit, by the way. You look
Thank you.
incredible. Now, you are part of a unique set of the actors where you actually were in The Lion King in your native Germany, right?
Yes, I did the musical.
Right to your right, please.
To keep going and going and going. And now doing this movie with Jon Favreau, who has been amazing in keeping true to the story, keeping true to the authenticity and the talent. The first clips, I entered a different phase of being, whoa, I didn't know there's yet another place to go to.
Maybe not.
Maybe, yeah, maybe in the
not.
future. A few more movies, then I can afford it, yeah.
How was it when you guys first came together as a gang to like record your bits?
I got you. Whole thing.
Well, let's talk about this brand new way because
Yeah.
the animation is absolutely
It's sick.
incredible.
It's incredible, yeah.
Now, is it true that John made a special VR game for you guys to sort of play to get into character
It is,
more?
yeah. There is.
Okay.
We all wore.
Gentlemen, welcome Billy Eichner!
Hey guys.
Welcome to Leicester Square, Billy.
Thank you. We're kind of matching.
Yeah, it's a metallic moment.
Yeah, that's good.
We're into it.
Yeah.
Billy, this movie is absolutely bigger than I think we could all imagine. How excited are you to be a part of it? Because you're going to go down in history, my friend.
Oh, I hope so. Hope for the right reasons. I'm thrilled. It's an
because the blueprint was already there from the songs that Hans had created. It's like for me, it was like trying my hardest not to get in the way and just only adding wherever I could. But those songs was in there already because the blueprint was already there from the songs that Hans.
Gonna be the main event, but no king was before. I'm rushing up, I'm looking for. I'm rushing up, I'm looking down, working on my wall.
It's kind of spooky. It's weird. It's fantastic. I mean, I never ever dreamt that The Lion King would be so successful in the first place. And then, of course, it's had a life of its own and it's been a phenomenon. And then this remake has given it another boost. And it's quite extraordinary how this story keeps going on and on and on. They wanted me to write a song for the end, which Tim and I did. And I recorded it, and Greg Kirsten produced it. And that's about it. And I let them go, for me, it's another version, and it's someone else's turn. It's just the perfect story for adults and for children, of course. And every 4 or 5 years it becomes cyclical because another generation of kids can enjoy it. So it's a never-ending success story. And it's wonderful. It's great. It's wonderful to be a part of something that's that successful, that's given so much pleasure to so many people.
It makes me feel great. Seth Rogen and I had our work cut out for us, stepping in the footsteps of Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella, who did it originally, and we were a little nervous about that, but so far the reaction is really, really great. Yeah, well, I grew up worshiping Nathan Lane, who did it originally, so I was nervous, very excited, and I played Timon, who's like the funny, wisecracking meerkat, and he has a really big personality and a small body, so that was a lot of fun. Jon Favreau, our director, encouraged us to improvise a lot, and a shocking amount of that improv ended up in the movie, which is really fun and different for a movie like this. I think you can feel that when you watch it. Well, it was relevant then, and I think it's relevant now. It's a classic, and I think classics are always going to get updated. And in the theater world, you revive classic plays and musicals every couple of years. Someone does a new take on it with new actors, and I think the themes of the movie are very relevant to today, and especially, how every action has a reaction. Everything we do as people affects someone else, another animal, another creature on the planet, and we're all sharing the planet together, and that's an important thing to keep in mind. It was a little nerve-wracking. Hakuna Matata, it's an iconic song, but luckily Seth and Donald Glover and I all got to record together, which is very rare for one of these movies. Sometimes the actors record separately, so that was very helpful. We just leaned on each other.
I mean, mostly, I just hope they have like a joyous experience, I think there is some good lessons about connectivity and being responsible for the world, but I think, at worst, they'll just have a very good time for 2 hours, yeah. I was excited, honestly. I thought, really, honestly, that me and Billy would be able to add something new and funny, and John is someone I trust very much comedically, especially, and so it was, it was, I wasn't, maybe I should have had more caution. I just I said yes. I mean, obviously the animation has evolved. I actually haven't watched the original one in a very long time. I kind of stayed away from it in preparation, just as I was making this one, because I didn't want to be too influenced by it. So I'd be curious to go back and rewatch it and see just how much has changed. Wonderful. We invited them to Superbad. They declined, so I'm glad that this is happening. Yeah. Sausage Party should have been a royal premiere, but maybe next time. Yeah. Thank you.
I think the story is timeless. It's about growing up, it's about finding your right path, it's about trusting people, it's about love, it's about hate, it's about becoming an adult, and in our story, taking what is yours, and then having people that advise you, people who might want to put you down. It's a timeless story. Well, Shenzi is one of the hyenas, and she is responsible for her pack, so therefore she wants to make sure that everybody's fine. She doesn't always have the best intentions, like she's somebody I wouldn't trust. She's a very strong person, but she gets together with Scar in order to make sure that maybe somebody else is able to be the ruler. Best case her, but Scar works too. You know what, I saw the movie and I've never seen something like this. This is a movie which will entertain you, but the technique that has been used in order to produce this movie, it feels very real, and I think that's the reason why it touches me even more than the old version. I was happy with the old version, but this is special.
I think the fact that the film unabashedly shows its themes on its sleeves. And I think one of the most important themes is that a person coming into themselves. What happens is we get to watch with aspiration the sense of Simba saying, I'm going to become what I'm supposed to be. I'm going to become what I'm destined to be. And don't we all want to become what we're destined to be? Wouldn't it be great to know what we're supposed to be and become that thing? And I think that desire is what drives this tradition. My character's name is Kamari. He's one of the hyenas. And it's interesting, the hyenas this time around, as opposed to the original, are not anywhere near as frivolous and silly. They're a little more grave, they're a little more dangerous, and they still want the same thing. They just want to eat everything they see. But I think that there's a really wonderful relationship between Florence Kasumba and me and Eric Andre that has a little more depth, perhaps, than the original movie. So it'll be fascinating for you to see. I think what happens is that it was contrary to what I thought initially we were going to do, but what Jon Favreau in all of his brilliance taught me and Eric was, if you just have a relationship that's really grounded in humanity, let's not try to play animals, then other humans will be able to identify, they go, oh, I know somebody like that. And that familiarity, I think, dampens the danger just a little bit, yeah, so it's more palatable in that way.
I love doing something, although people are familiar with the story, they've never seen anything like this before. We're using a lot of new visual effects. We have a great cast, new music, and that's what you want to do. You want to surprise people. You want to show them something that they're not quite sure what they're looking at. And I have to say that the visual effects that came together for this are going to be. It's going to be wonderful to see how people react to it, and like seeing a story they love in a whole different way. I took everything that I learned on Jungle Book and we removed the one human character and saw if we could tell a story with completely animated performances and an environment that's completely digitally rendered. And hopefully it will look like a live action film and like a documentary. So it's fun to watch it. You don't know till you show it to a new audience. And so, these premieres are wonderful because I haven't really gotten to see it with people before. So in LA I saw it for the first time, and today will be the second time I'm seeing it with a crowd. My job with the music is just to encourage all these talented people to work together and collaborate. But whether it's a new song from Beyonce or a new song collaboration with Elton John, Lebo, Tim Rice, and then of course all the reinterpretations of the classics to Hans's score and to the songs that Elton and Tim wrote for the original is wonderful. And somebody like Beyonce taking Can You Feel the Love Tonight and doing a duet with Donald Glover, I mean, that's something that it's a real treat for people who are fans of the original to see what they did with that. I think this a story about all of us working together and a sense of overcoming hardship and stepping up and taking responsibility for helping to shape the future is a wonderful lesson for all generations. There are certain things we had to change in this, especially with regards to colloquial humor and some of the musical interpretations, but when it came down to the message and to James Earl Jones's monologues as Mufasa, we found that it felt like it was just written yesterday, even though it's 25 years ago. So there's something timeless about stories about the human condition and about perseverance.
You know what? Because there's just like an overwhelming sense of pride. I was kidding about that. But in all due seriousness, it's like, man, Lion King takes place in Africa. It could have taken place anywhere else on the planet or in the universe, but it took place in Africa, and to me, there's just like a tremendous sense of pride that like yet another amazing story comes out of there, and the story's about hope, and I don't know, I'm just very proud to be a part of it. You will forget about people for a moment, which is not such a bad thing, You kind of like take a break from humanity and you kind of just like, you just deal with spirits, the spirit of like what's inside of these animals. And it's cool. Man, to have the Duke and Duchess here tonight to see a film that takes place in Africa, it's amazing.
Thank you.
Black, 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 black.
Really, honestly, relieved, but I still have a huge hurdle to pass. This is my daughter Zoe Zimmer, who I did the original movie for, and she hasn't seen it yet. So if she, I have to figure out if she likes it or not, because I could be in big trouble. It was really all about John. With very few words, he just invited me over and said, "Here, I want to show you something." He showed me the opening, and I was, as anybody would be, somewhat, well, I'm not sure if you can beat the original, and it just drew me in. It just blew me away, and okay, I'm going to admit it. I actually cried at the end. So he got me, and I thought he's directing this. The technology is fabulous, but the thing that really is directing this is John's huge heart, and the actors are truly astonishing, and just being able to work with some of my favorite people in the world as well again. Well, very little collaboration, very much her really studying the film and really sort of at the last moment going, I have a little something I want to play you. And of course us going, it's a diamond. All right, let's make room for this. Thank you so much. And it's just great to be given such a treasure.
A little bit, I could say excited, but a lot more still calm and relaxed and trying to avoid being stressed. But fortunately for me, I don't think I've left or I've had to. I'm coming back to The Lion King. I've been working a Broadway show from day one around the world. So for me, it is an exciting next level adventure. But I have to confess, my expectations were, okay, another one, but the exciting challenge became even bigger. The work was amazing. It still feels new because the approach was different. Fortunately, like I said earlier, the approach, we're going from the first movie, 20-something years on a Broadway show, to a live-action movie, which means it's a continuation for me. We approach the live soundtrack from a live approach, which is really exciting and different, even the way I recorded the choirs in South Africa and in America. So it's just an adventure that never ends, and excitement is still, it feels like a new project. Doesn't feel like I've been doing the same show, same story for 25 years now. Huh? It is not set up like this. It's the one playing right now. He Lives in You, which is a song that I originally wrote with Mark for the movie. It didn't make it in the movie. Found its home, and the Broadway show is performed by Simba, by Mufasa and Rafik in Broadway, and now we redid the same song in Xhosa, which is quite amazing for me. It's still a big surprise for me. I'm still surreal. I started feeling the impact of it globally when I started going on tour with Hans.
That makes me feel wonderful. You work on this project for 3 years and you never know how it's going to be accepted. So for people to see what you put in really makes you feel good. I hope they see how much we really respect the '94 version and how, we really feel that's a wonderful film. Not trying to change it, just let people see it in a different way. Yes, as John was looking through the script with the writer, there's so many lines that still hold true, particularly Mufasa's lines. The circle of life and a responsibility to be part of a community. I think that's so important. Thrilling. It's thrilling. I mean, who else do you want to hear sing Can You Feel the Love other than Beyonce? And then, Tim Rice and Elton John. It's mind-blowing. You're often like, I can't believe this is my job. I can't believe I get to do this,
Audiences can expect just a great film. We're retelling a fantastic tale with wonderful music and adding to a technology that no one has ever seen before, no one has ever used before, and it's just exquisite. Well, when you think about telling a story with animals in Africa, that can be very complicated if you're going to try anything in what we would call live action or something that looks like live action. This technology gave us the ability to retell this story in a way that made sense in a number of directions. We wouldn't have been able to do it without that technology. In this particular case, because of the success of the first film and the fact that it's so beloved, it was very, very important to respect the story that was originally told. By the way, it was a fantastic story, so I don't know why we wouldn't do that. And to update it to some extent, because the times have changed over 25 years. Well, in each case, they brought some of their own personality, directed, of course, by Jon Favreau, different from some of the voices in the first film. So I think they each bring to this who they are. You know, whether it's Donald Glover or Beyonce, just to name two, that is the same characters, but with a slightly different take. I like that. Well, we had a long discussion at the beginning about what songs should be in, what songs had to be in, and we all were aligned on that, Jon Favreau in the studio. So you have to have the most classic songs, obviously. And so I think we ended up with just a great blend. Also bringing Hans Zimmer back, having Elton John's and Tim Rice's cooperation, and Lebo, who brought us the real African music to the original film and to the stage show. Yes, Beyonce wrote a song that she thought was incredibly appropriate, not only for the film, but for a very, very specific part of the story, and surprised us with what is just a tremendous, tremendous effort, both in terms of her performance, but also the writing of the song. Just a great song. And it freshens the whole piece too. Not that the technology and the new voices don't, because they certainly do, but this adds yet another touch of freshness and relevance to this. Well, I think if you break down the story, first of all, I think there's a little bit of everything for everyone in it. But it's just such a classic tale about love and hate and heroism and the power that good ultimately triumphs over evil, love of family, respect for your elders, respect for your country. I mean, I could go on and on. Friendship. I just think there's a universal appeal to this and this story in particular. It's why The Lion King was so popular in 1994. Why it's remained popular for 25 years, and why we're retelling it. Well, so many people around the world have seen The Lion King. Of course, many haven't. I'd like everybody who sees it to just fall in love with the characters, the story, whether they saw it or not before, to understand that what we've done here is to pay incredible respect to the filmmakers and the artists that created the first story, but make it so relevant with the technology and the new performances. I just think it's a fantastic film.
Well, you may put your finger on it. It's difficult if something's already good. It's always difficult to improve it. And I think the original songs just stand up. They've been around for a long time. So I think they'll be absolutely fine. I'm more intrigued to see how the new ones go. I don't really know how music's evolved in the 25 years. I think the songs that Elton and I wrote way back have survived, which is encouraging. And I haven't a clue how popular music has evolved since then. Well, I don't know. I think relevance is to do with the characters that are created. If you have a good story with characters that have understandable and believable motives, then it's relevant to human nature, which never changes. I mean, human nature just doesn't change over 25 years, and certainly doesn't even change over centuries or millennia. So if a film is relevant at one point, or if a story is relevant at one point, then I think it will always be relevant.
Hey guys, it's Lisa with more on The Lion King. Now, the name of the movie seems pretty straightforward, right? But did you know that its original title was actually King of the Jungle? Marketing materials and merchandise had even been made before the studio realised, lions don't live in the jungle. Click here below to subscribe, and remember to also tap the bell to always receive our videos in your feed.